Norwegian Tennis Federation, extending to clubs throughout the country. I am Scandinavian, so I am particularly excited about this partnership. So I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes talking about UTR, very sort of high level. And then my colleagues, Mike and Stephen and Andres will add some more details around a potential partnership. And Andres, are we saving questions for the end, or how would you like to do this?
Yes. Basically, we're going to talk a little bit about UTR. We are going to show the platform and how the system works. And at the end, we are going to have some minutes for questions. So just please have a lot of questions that we are here to help.
This is a wonderful size group, so I'm sure there will be questions. Okay, so as most of you know, UTR is an accurate global rating system in the world, and it rates everyone on the same 16-point scale, regardless of your age, your gender, your nationality, or your socioeconomic background. Martina Navratilova says, UTR is ageless, genderless, borderless. It democratizes the game. It equalizes tennis. The algorithm is so accurate because it is based on three things: the strength of your opponent, the percentage of games won, so not just win or lose, and some recency, up to 30 matches in the last year. Our mission as a company is to make tennis more affordable, more accessible, and fun for everyone. And the goal is to reach every tennis player all over the world and to change the thinking, change the paradigm away from age and gender to level-based play. Because all the research shows that when someone wants to go out and play a great game of tennis, they want to play somebody more or less at their same level. It's competitive, but it's still fun. And while the rating, Universal Tennis Rating, has a 12-year history, it was founded by college coaches here in the United States long ago. And has become undeniably the gold standard for college recruiting. But since our CEO, Mark Leschly, purchased the company 3 years ago with partners like Team 8, Roger Federer's company, Tennis Channel, Tennis Australia, the owners of the Australian Open, Novak Djokovic, and other big names in tennis, an entire Universal Tennis engagement platform has been built to drive participation and play. So there are tools and technologies for high school play, for college play, high school here in the United States, college play, clubs of all shapes and sizes, small, medium, large, public, private, academies. There are tools and technologies with something for everyone. And the rating has seen, the company has seen a meteoric explosion in demand and growth in 2020. There was an 183% increase in the number of clubs on the platform, 93% increase in the number of events run on the platform, and a 47% increase in player growth. And a lot of that had to do with the global shutdown and the pandemic. Because UTR is so flexible and adaptable, it gives organizers the ability to run unlimited events of all formats, including small, safe, local events. And you can charge whatever is appropriate for your given situation, because we recognize that everybody's different. So basically, our philosophy is once you introduce level-based play into local communities all over the world and connect players to each other, it makes it that much easier to find level-based play, which is what will grow this game that we all know and love. And so while we've been talking about local, local, local for years, now because of the global pandemic, it is, I think everyone would agree that local tennis is the new normal. And as a matter of fact, our sort of slogan is that UTR gives players the ability to play locally, but it counts for a global rating. So those are just some of the reasons why UTR has taken off by like wildfire over the years, but especially in 2020. And now I think I'd like to hand it over to my colleague, Mike Mieringoff, who will talk a little bit more about how to get involved. Mike, over to you.
Thanks so much, Anne, and welcome everybody tonight, and thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate it. So as Anne said, my name is Mike Mieringoff. I manage the federations globally here at Universal Tennis. And Norway, obviously we have a very special relationship with the federation. We also work with other federations globally around the world as well. Anne mentioned Tennis Australia specifically. They're also a special partner, but we want to let you know that we're also going to be working with federations globally, and we're going to do that for a few reasons. One is obviously, like Anne mentioned, your rating, although you may play locally, it counts globally. So federations are all around the world, and we want to make sure that the ratings are the best possible, and it's actually a global rating, which it is. The second reason is in our mission statement, which Anne spoke about. It's very, very similar to the Tennis Federation in Norway, is we want to grow the sport. We want to make it more affordable, accessible, fun, and really grow the sport at the recreational level, like people just starting to play tennis, but also too at the competitive level, which many of you are at, be it a junior player, or you're actually a coach involved with competitive players as well. So all of you are extremely important, and the federation obviously is very important to the success of tennis in Norway, and we really look forward to working with you. So if you have any questions, we can talk about it at the end, and I'll turn it over to Stephen Armitage. He's our Chief Tennis Officer for Universal Tennis. Stephen?
Hi guys, not too much else more to add, but my name is Stephen. I had the pleasure of playing a couple pro circuit events in Norway, one in, I think, Gausdal and one in Oslo. I've been working with Tina and Sven-Are for a while. Really excited to have this call today. I hope it's helpful and educational to you. I kind of oversee most of the tennis operations and strategy stuff here. So I'm lucky to, work with this great team. And for any kind of in-depth questions, I might hop in a little bit later as well. Thanks.
All right, so I'm going to take over, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show the system to you all, and I hope you enjoy it. So let me share my screen. And here what you're going to see is our TMS and our website. So the first thing I want to show you is that we have up here a search bar. And this search bar is very important because this is similar to Google for tennis players. In this search bar, you're going to find players, events, virtual events, clubs, colleges, and high schools, right? So I'm going to walk over different dimensions. The first one is going to be players, and I'm going to show you what we can do here for players. So at first, when we click into the players, we can select here any kind of player in the world, and we can see what's their level, their tennis level. So let's wait a little bit until, okay. So we can see here who is the #1 player in UTR, but we can do something very cool here, that is search by nationality. So we can search here in Norway, right? We click on here, and then we are gonna see all the players in Norway by UTR. So one of the cool things that you can also do in your club or in your federation or your association is that you can filter up by UTR if you wish, right? So if you think a little bit over the opportunities of play that UTR brings to you, is that you can also look for partners of similar level. If you, for example, are this guy, you can find players that are in that similar level, and you can play with this kind of players. What is going to happen with that? We are going to provide with matches of similar level. All right. So when we go here into the colleges part, so we click here into the search bars again, and we go here into the colleges. We have this tool that is called UTR College Fit. As you guys know, we are the gold standard for college. And when you click on this UTR College Fit, you can put here your UTR and you can search for schools. So basically what we are doing is that we are trying to democratize the access to college in the US. That means that anyone that plays locally and is counting globally through our platform is going to have the opportunity to go to colleges in the US. You can do the search by yourself, and you can click into any school you would like to see, and you can actually contact coaches within the same platform. So let's click here. I'm going to click just into a random school, and I'm going to show you this example. So I have here the school I went to, and you can see all the players right here. You can see the roster, right? And when you go to the overview, you can contact coaches right from the platform. So as you think, the platform is not only like a Google, but it also has elements as Facebook. You can message anyone that is part of this system, right? Then when we go back to the search bar, so we go back to the search bar, we are going to walk through a different dimension, which is the clubs. We can click here into the clubs, and we are going to see about more than 10,000 clubs that are already working with us, and you can find any club that is part of UTR. So for example, if I click into Norway, we'll see which clubs are here, and of course we find here the federation, and we look into their digital club. So this is what we call a digital club, and this is what we want to offer to clubs around Norway. Here in the digital club, you're going to have your members, which are similar to your followers. I like to compare this like Instagram followers inside your digital club, right? You can have here all your events that you are going to create, and you're going to put and you're going to post all the scores within your events. And then we are going to build a digital ladder for you within your own club. So as you can see, you can provide players in your club with partners of similar level. We have seen in many clubs that you have the same partner all the time because you don't know how the others are playing at what level. And then this opens the opportunity to find players within the same community and play more tennis at the same level. All right, so I just wanted to stop here, and I wanted to see if you have any other questions, and then I wanted Steven to talk a little bit about our Pro Tennis Tour.
Cool. Well, Andres, I might just hop in and talk to you guys about our newly created Pro Tennis Tour. Over the past 6 months to 8 months, especially as the pandemic has unfortunately raged on, UTR has continued to look for opportunities to add, basically safe global play into safe local play that can count globally into our ecosystem. And we created the Pro Tennis Tour about our own version of the Pro Tennis Tour about 8 months ago in conjunction with Tennis Australia. These tournaments are at the $25,000 financial commitment level. They are targeting players between 200 and 2,000 in the world. A lot of these players who basically have been phased out by the lack of opportunities with the reduced calendar schedule. And we started with Tennis Australia, but have since moved into events in Mexico, in the Americas, and as of last year into Europe. We had a few events in Spain in the last couple weeks, and we are moving into Eastern Europe, hopefully with some in Scandinavia later in the year. Anyway, it is a fantastic opportunity, we feel like, for players of that range, 200 to 2,000 in the world, to get an increased match load, to earn more money. These don't yet have ATP or WTA points in it, but that is the goal, and I think that we will get there. And it's just something that if you know players who are pros, to basically keep on their radar for the next, for the foreseeable future. And I understand that obviously the pandemic is continuing to go on and there are travel restrictions, but our goal has been to try to provide more opportunities for those who feel like it's feasible for them. Thanks, Andres.
All right, and I wanted to add that this is like an opportunity to democratize tennis at a pro level, because we have seen a lot of people that is playing these tournaments that are just playing locally, and they are able to make it into these tournaments. So this is something that is breaking like the the mold, and it's kind of making tennis more accessible at a pro level also. Then I wanted to show you also a case that I have here of a recreational player. I'm going to show you here, because UTR is also like the handicap of golf for tennis, which means that this is for anyone. It's not only for players that are looking for scholarships in the US. It's not for pro players only, but it's also for the normal player, the club player. So as you can see, this guy, he's from Colombia, but he lives in Spain, and he is the #1 in the world for 70 years old and older. And as you can see, he also has a UTR. When you see here, you're going to see that we have the stats and metrics for him, and we are able to provide all these stats and metrics for all the players that are in the platform in the world. So this is very powerful, because we are going to see the position of each player, which is different to a ranking, and we are able to show how they're improving in the last 12 months. We can have the result of analysis of each player, and we can have the week by week improvement of each player. So as you can see, this tool has a lot of things that can help coaches to make players better, that can help federations to get their players into a higher level. And the most important of all, that we can compare ourselves in a global standard. And that's the reason why we said always that we play local and come global. So at this point, I probably want to open up to questions. I know you guys have a lot of questions. So just go ahead, just open up your microphone, and we're happy to help.
And just to sort of kick off here and add one more layer to the college tool, everyone likes to focus on the best of the best, which in the United States is Division I. But we have very recent research that shows that there are college playing opportunities at all levels for boys and girls. As a matter of fact, it's a very surprising fact that 50 to 60% of college playing opportunities are UTR 3 to 8, not necessarily 11 and 12 where a D1 player would be. And so this is, we have D2 and D3 coaches calling us to say, please, we need more players. And so we're trying to get the word out that if a player wants to play in USA college, there are many, many more opportunities than just Division I, Division II, Division III, different conferences. There's a lot more available. Okay, how about some questions? Yes.
Excellent. So I am a coach in Norway in a small club way up north. We don't have any pro players. We're all like UTR 3 to 6, just recreational players. But people still like to compete and get a verified UTR ranking. So I'm wondering, can I organize events locally at a club that will count towards the verified UTR? And
Andres?
how?
Andres, you want to take that?
Sure. Yeah. We're an open platform, and our what we want is that more clubs get in and use our system at an hyperlocal level. So that means that anyone is able to have a verified UTR. So basically, the process, what I suggest you to do is just contact Tina or Svein from the federation, and then they can connect you to you, and then we will do the onboarding process. We'll explain you how to get going. But one of the good things is that we are not going to leave you alone. We have plenty of success cases around the world, and I'm going to give you a lot of ideas to make your club much better using UTR.
All right, thanks.
You're
So
welcome.
so you would each literally, meet with Andres and share your challenges and your pain points. And, if you have a competitive junior program, if you have adult social play, who are the underserved populations you're trying to accommodate, and when you have empty court time. And he will approach it very prescriptively and help you to create the right events, the right format together with you. And so he'll get you started. And then we fully expect you all to come up with wonderful new creative event ideas that we wind up sharing with other clubs, both inside and outside of Norway. Our CEO likes to say, you're only limited by your own imagination on the UTR platform. Do we have some more questions? Okay, so if there are no more questions, Tina or Sven, is anything you want to add here?
I think the $1 million question for a lot of the audience here today is to see how one can improve their UTR. And there are obviously a lot of myths. And the biggest myth is if playing a lower rated player, if it will hurt their UTR.
First of all, the one thing I'll say is that there's no easy way to improve your UTR. The only way to improve your UTR is to get better as a tennis player. And that's actually the hardest thing to do. So there's no quick fix. There's no quick ad or anything like that. The best advice that I would give someone is that UTR is basically it's created on two calculations. One is who you played, and two is what the score was. So, by nature of UTR counting every single game, that has been a key component to try to keep matches and keep players engaged for every game possible. And so the best way that I've seen people improve their UTR is through becoming a better tennis player. Now, what does that mean? That means working with your coach to basically, improve your ability, improve your fitness, improve your technique, improve your, overall game. The goal with UTR has always been to create a more local, affordable, and accessible opportunity to competitive matches. So as we just heard from, I believe, Burke, who is, in a geographically isolated place, the one of the values of UTR is the ability to create additional competitive opportunities that can help players develop and give them more opportunities to basically become a better tennis player in match form. In terms of who you should play and how that looks and all of that, we recommend usually a range of 1 UTR point higher and 1 UTR point lower than your rating. And where we've seen the most kind of advances and the most kind of increases in rating is usually people who play players of their same level, but start to beat them pretty kind of routinely, pretty regularly. So matches that a 10 UTR would play a 10 UTR or a 5 UTR would play a 5 UTR. Once one of those players is winning those matches 6-3, 6-3, 6-2, 6-2, consistently in 2 sets, consistently over and over again against those levels, then we can say distinctly that those players have likely surpassed that level and will increase in their rating. It's not really where it's going to be one match against, if you're a 8 UTR and you're playing a 10 UTR and by some means you beat this player one day. One match does not make that much of a difference. It's an overtime experience that through increased kind of overall matches in the 30 match sample size that really increases the rating itself. Andres, do you want to hop in for anything that I may have missed there?
Or yeah, I just wanted to show that what Steven is saying with data that we can provide here. So basically, I'm going to show you a good case to see. And basically, when you see this girl, she's been going up, you know, in time, as you can see this graphic. And when you see the result of analysis, you're going to see the majority of players that she has been playing are lower rated players. But basically, she's beating these players pretty easy. That means, as you can see, this line here is 50% of the games. But most of the players are lower than her. Still, she is managing to go up in her UTR. And that's basically because the system is going to kind of tell you what's the expected score. And if you beat that expected score, then your rating is going to go up, and in the same size is going to go down to your opponent. So basically, my advice is play good matches. And when you're playing good matches, you're getting better at playing tennis. Where you're gonna find good matches, you're gonna find it probably a little bit over you, similar to you, and a little below you. And then you're gonna realize that while you are competing, then you're gonna be improving. So that will be my advice.
I have a question. My name is Leila. I'm wondering, do you feel that the UTR 8 in different countries have different levels? If you know what I mean, because we feel in Norway with few players that it's easier to get a higher UTR when you go out. I don't know if it's right, it just feels that way. And then is it the number 8 UTR in another country we can beat them, but we're still lower in Norway in the UTR?
Thank you so much for your question. Look, we've gotten feedback from different people in different silos that usually always tell us, hey, you know, our players are a little bit lower than where you're rating them. What I will say is I can go through, I think just as a starting point, we've received feedback like that. By example, college coaches a lot of times say, hey, you know, we have players that are coming into college who are not quite as good as players that we have already in college. You're saying this about Norway here. What I would say is just to kind of take you back to our end in terms of how it's calculated. So from our end, the rating is calculated using 16 million data points. And essentially the way that it's done is through crossover. And so essentially if you had, let's say 3 or 4 Norwegian players playing a Tennis Europe tournament where they would play players from other countries, and then those players would play, you know, players from the US or players in an international event. This is exactly the graph. And it may look a little bit overwhelming. Thanks, Andres, you pulled it up. But this is essentially an example of 2 players that played each other at the age of 14, one player in the US and one player in the EU. And so, you know, basically they have all this connectivity through other players who they've played or who's played someone that they played. And that's how we're able to kind of connect the system. So what I would say is that we're able to create a rating that can be used at a local level because of some crossover at some level of the sport. And so whether that is at the ITF level or at the kind of UTR Pro Tennis Tour level or Tennis Europe, or wherever it is, that's how we're able to get this global connectivity. Now, I can't speak specifically to the rating of an 8 in Norway versus the rating of an 8 in Australia or the US. The thing that I would say is that we're running at about 80% or higher of being, you know, kind of indicative of or predictive of kind of winning. And so we feel really confident with those numbers. Those are way higher than any other rating that's out there. But, you know, I think that everyone would have to judge kind of for themselves where those players are and truly have their own confidence in the rating. I know that from a data perspective and from a former player and coach who's been in the sport for my whole life, I have a lot of confidence in it, regardless of geography, regardless of gender, and regardless of overall silo that they're playing in.
Yeah, it feels sometimes like 5 million people, it's more difficult, you know, in a smaller country and very few players. So sometimes it feels more difficult to get your UTR with few players around. And now with the restrictions, it's difficult, you know, but maybe it's up to the clubs to do more events. So that, because I had a daughter in the academy in Mallorca, and they had a lot of local events in the academy, which were called UTR tournaments. And I saw her UTR kind of jumped a little bit. And it was just local things.
Yep. Well, you know, just as a follow-up point, I think that, look, that goes into the fact that having a additive structure locally is also going to help a player. I mean, I think that we would all agree that the more matches that players get, especially at their junior level, you know, the better that they're going to be in figuring out ways to compete, figuring out ways to win, figuring out kind of what their strengths and weaknesses are against better players, worse players, being able to practice in a match setting, stuff that they're working on. And so to that end, I mean, I just couldn't advocate for more and more clubs and you know, the federation and everyone creating more opportunities to play with kind of a little bit of weight behind it. And so, look, that's different than the prestigious national structure that Norway or Tennis Europe or the ITF or Pro Tennis Tour or whatever it may be has. But that is a way that, you know, even through this terrible pandemic, we've been able to help, hopefully, you know, create opportunity for players across the world.
Yeah. Thank you.
No problem.
Hi.
Go ahead.
I was just wondering because, well, I very much agree with what you said, Stephen, how you have to improve your tennis to improve your UTR. However, I think a lot of tennis players haven't actually been able to play matches and maybe have actually improved over the time. So I'm kind of wondering how, because I'm hoping maybe to start college next year, and I'm kind of wondering how to improve my UTR, or in like sort of what tournaments and a bit about that maybe.
So, Kadra, thanks for your question. I mean, I don't know specifics about your level or where you've been able to play or where you haven't been able to play. My former job before coming to UTR was I used to oversee college tennis for the USTA. So I have a lot of understanding of college coaches and what they're looking for. And the thing that I would advise you specifically to do, on top of obviously searching out any events that you can, you know, and I know it's hard right now, but whether they're UTR events or Tennis Europe, or I don't know how Tina, I don't know how much, you know, the Norwegian Federation is up with the restrictions, but literally any kind of event that counts for UTR, that should give you the ability to implement a new result and potentially show your improvement. The other thing that specifically for you, Kadra, that I'd say is, you know, be proactive in your outreach to coaches. and send them letters, send them emails. They'll ask probably as a starting point what your UTR is. But you should also have a pretty descriptive second paragraph in there that basically says what restrictions you've been under during the pandemic. I think that this is going to be a huge problem for a lot of players and, quite honestly, a lot of coaches, in that with so few opportunities for players across the board, it's going to be really challenging for them to get an understanding of everyone's current level and everyone's, accuracy of their UTR. So you should really be honest and open and explain to them about how, hey, you're in Norway, we're under incredibly difficult restrictions with COVID. I haven't been able to play. I feel like I've gotten better. Here are a couple of the matches that I played recently. For your own knowledge, Kadra, keep in mind that 1 or 2 or 3 matches isn't going to make a world of difference to your UTR. It's really over the course of the 30 matches that you're going to see a big improvement. But I would just really kind of try to explain to them your situation, because I think that everyone will be understanding of the limitations that everyone has had over the last year.
Thank you.
No problem. Good luck.
Anybody else?
Stephen, I just want to fill in with the questions from Sanne, because obviously, like we all in here know, that we have closed borders, we have limits from our government, and additional long quarantines upon returning. So I remember you had some freeze date a while ago in March, I think, that are you considering a longer period than 12 months for the results to be verified, so that countries like Norway, we haven't played a match in 3 months, can still have a verified UTR?
Yeah. So I think Andres may have talked to our data team about this for a little bit more specifics, but in our end, look, I think we're looking at a lot of different things. I don't know where exactly it's gone to or where it's netted out at. I know that for the pro level, we're extending this to the Grand Slams from 2019 and the results that are, I think, Grand Slams and Master Series in those tournaments. Tina, if this is something that, obviously is specific to Norway, which it seems like it is, and the fact that this is an integral part of it, we need to get you an answer there and potentially work with you guys on how we can make this, right for everyone within Norway. One thing I'll say is that across the board with UTR, we have an element in the rating called time degradation. Basically, what that means is that the farther away a match is, the less weight we give it in the overall rating. So it still counts, but it might count less. And so over the course of time, we just value that less versus kind of more recent results, because we feel like while that is an indicator of how you were playing in your level, it probably is a little bit less relevant than stuff that's happened closer.
We have more time. If anybody has more questions, feel free.
Yes, I have a question.
Thank you, Marco.
Yes, hi, my name is Marco, and I'm working right now in Oslo for ex-Marca Tennis Club, and I'm a USPTA professional. I worked a long time in USA, and when I moved there in 2009, I remember, I used to play a lot of tournaments during my junior career, and when I moved there in 2009, there was still the NTRP level over there, and I wanted to play some tournament, and but I didn't know anything about the NTRP, so I ended up in a club, and I remember that a coach told me that he had to evaluate, so I had to go through a certain evaluation so he could rate me, and he gave me, I remember, 5.055 NTRP. So I was wondering, are we also, as a coaches, professional coaches, allowed to give the UTR rate to someone that never played tennis before, never plays a tournament before, but is still don't know what kind of level is he? So I was wondering also, are we any sort of guidelines when somebody comes to me I want to be rated, because I already had some club members coming to me and ask me, hey, what kind of level I am? And so I was wondering if there is any guideline. Are this person also allowed to start playing UTR based on my rating?
Yep. So happy for Andres or Anne or Mike to hop in on this one as well, while Andres is already sharing something. But the one thing I would say, Marco, just as a starting point, and then I'll turn it over to Andres, is that if anyone has played any kind of Norwegian adult league or event, we have them in our system and we have them rated if they're an adult. And NTRP is usually a very general rating. It's not really that accurate because of everything you said. It's just kind of, hey, this guy's a 4.5 or whatever. But we do have everyone accurately rated if they are an adult who's played in a league in Norway or any junior who's played in a tournament. So even just by just a transitive property of understanding that, hey, I can play with this person and they've played in a league and they're a UTR 3.75, I'm roughly around a 3.75 or maybe a little bit better if I'm better or whatever it is, you'll get an understanding of what you are. The other thing I'd say is that all it takes to get on your way to being rated in UTR is one set. And so it can be even a fast 4 set to 4 games. So once you play your first set, all of a sudden the algorithm will start calculating kind of what your level is. And then after about 5 sets, we'll have a fully reliable accuracy of your rating. So anyone can get on their way to having a UTR with a very, very low bar. And Andres will maybe go into it a little bit more right now.
Yes. Basically, I'm sorry because I can't find my presentation in English. I'm always doing Spanish presentations, but this is basically the scale in where you can see the UTR level. This part is in English. So you were talking about the NTRP. So here you can see the level. But as an advice, when you're running UTR events, you're kind of gonna get a sense of what's the level of some people. And when you get it to know, you know, sometimes I get players that I don't know like where they have to play, but I know how they play. And I kind of have a sense or where they can start, you know. It's not this official, but this is gonna help you to create tournaments of the same level or events. So basically, this is the scale right here. You know, you see the levels. When we're talking about 9 or above, it seems more like college kind of level, right? And here maybe it's more like recreational level. 8 might be like a high recreational level. And then here we are gonna have a lot of recreational adults level. So when you get to know UTR, you're gonna have a sense of what the UTR might be, but the only way to evaluate a player is through matches that are uploaded in the platform. Is that clear for you, Marco?
What if someone had been playing like a good tennis back in the 80s and then he quit, and he still has all these fundamentals? I know he's a good player, but he never played tournament before, and now he wants to start to play.
Yes.
You can just take a look at them and tell them, you know, you are 4-4, 4-0, 4-5, and they can go play that tournament.
Yes, they can play any event, and from the first set, they're going to have the first rating. At first, the rating is going to be projected, which means that we don't have enough data to know that that's the real level. But after some matches, maybe 5, 6 matches, then the UTR is going to be fully rated. So we trust that that's the real UTR. So we have a lot of people that they play very well, you know, and they keep playing and their UTR is still very good. That means that also a junior can have an opportunity to play with them and improve the UTR by playing with these people.
Yeah, and Marco, you'll see, Marco, you'll see by the rating there'll be a parentheses with a P for projected, so that you know that person will know and you'll know that they're projected. And of course, like the other team members mentioned, once they play enough and the results are significant enough, it'll go from projected just to a regular rating. But they have to start at some point, as you know, just to get going and play against another player who has a rating as Stephen mentioned, the more you play, the more accurate and better your rating is.
My name is Magnus. I'm from the Norwegian Senior Tennis Federation.
Hello.
I have actually 2 questions. Number 1, we arrange in our indoor team competition. We have the match format that is win most games in 15 minutes. That means the result can be like 12-4 or 13-6 and so on. Previously, that was a problem to get that registered because it was more than, if you got more than 10 games. And my question is that possible to solve, or maybe it is already solved? And my second question is, I was trying to look at some of these functions and fixtures that was shown at the start of the meeting, and did not have access to many of them because it got this message that I have to do a subscription for $99. And the question is, for example, a club, do they have to do this subscription to, for example, get registered the results from the club championship?
All right, Magnus, I can answer your second question. So basically, we have a power subscription, and this is optional. This is not for all, but some people is going to find a lot of advantages by having that. Why? Because this has the college fit. This has the decimal numbers and the stats that I show you, but you can have a free account. So the free account is for all. Imagine that this is like creating a Facebook for tennis players. So it's going to be free. You're going to register with that account. And then the club is going to have a different account, which is an account for organizers. And the organizers are going to have a digital club. So within that digital club, then you can create event, you can post the scores, and you can do basically whatever you want. You know, basically, I tell you can create one match or you can create a Grand Slam in the platform. So it's very easy to use and you can do everything, basically. So basically, when you're kind of doing timing matches, like Mouratoglou in France was doing with UTS, basically, the only difference is that you're going to do a non-verified event. So when you're doing a verified event, which you have the option as an organizer, then we have some minimum rules. You got to follow at least a format. For singles, is short sets. In case of 1-1, then they can play a super tiebreak, right? But when you have a different format and you want to be super creative as you are, then you're going to see this. Let me show you. So I'm going to show you my profile, my UTR profile, and you're going to see that I have a verified UTR that has a check mark, but also I'm going to have a non-verified UTR. So let me show you. So here, as you can see, I have a UTR that is not non-verified. So those scores that you want to put as a 1 hour match and the results can be different from the format that we are telling you, then they are going to be counting towards this UTR, right? As you can see, it's basically very similar to each other. Sometimes it's the same UTR, but there are some differences, right? So you can do that in your club using the non-verified option.
Magnus, if I could just add to that, you know, look, it's the verified UTR is pretty much only there for 2 main reasons. It's one, for college coaches to kind of just be aware that junior players are getting this rating from kind of sanctioned or properly structured events, or for us from a pro tennis tour perspective, the same reason. It's really around protecting the integrity from a format perspective that gives the college coaches confidence. We created the regular UTR to basically expand our footprint and opportunity into the adult market specifically, to be able to bring in and calculate scores that you know would from a format perspective be you know, just kind of easier for more people to be involved with. So, you know, I really wouldn't look at it as anything more than that. We can take them in. It would just be kind of a little bit separate than Kaja's rating that she's trying to get recruited off of to an American university.
All right, well, we have just a minute left. So Andres, we hope these are all good questions and some questions I hadn't heard before. So thank you all. We hope that this has been helpful, and we would love to hear from you to talk a little bit more about your specific needs and specific goals and specific challenges. Andres, do you want to just remind everyone how to get in touch with us for next steps?
Sure, yeah. So the best way to get in touch with us will be through Tina and Svein from the Federation. Then they can connect you with you guys. And it is from your best interest to do through the Federation, because we have kind of a special offer if we do it that way. All right, so let's do it. And I hope many of you guys start doing this in your club, because it's going to change tennis in Norway for sure.
So thank you, Tina. Thank you, Spain. Thank you all. And we look forward to hearing from you very soon. We'd love to partner with you to grow tennis in your club, in your facility, and in your country.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
See you guys. Thank you.